We're back. Please, no audio issues. Let us know if you're watching in the comments. I need you to let us know right now. All right, I feel real bad. We wasted a lot of you guys' time. Not these guys. It's on my end somewhere along the lines. But all right, so we talked a little bit about Kyle Field. Joy was very respectful. Joy knows that LSU is going to be up against a lot of very loud and not hostile, but college football terms, hostile Aggies. Will expects a big crowd. LSU painted posse said, not so scared. We have confirmation that we are not robotic the moment.
Let's go.
All right, Durag. Durag might be my favorite visitor of the channel. I love when he comes in. All right.
It's crazy, Elko, because your audio is muted.
Elko is going to come on one day, and it's going to be a glorious day when he does. And
he's a great interview.
I didn't even know that him and I weren't following one another on Twitter. We've interacted for years, and he came on a couple weeks back, and start of a beautiful relationship. It's taken off. So, all right. So we talked a little bit about Kyle Field. We talked a little about what we kind of expect this weekend. We got LSU painted posses, SEC stadiums. He said one LSU, 2 Ole Miss, 16 Texas A&M. Sorry, I didn't realize we were getting big timed over here, but thank you for if you're spending time with him and then still checking in on us. I mean, we got to be doing something, right? But
yeah, for sure.
I do have to say, as far as being a college football fan, I've hated both of your schools for this for a little while, but you absolutely unequivocally ruined college football overtime forever. I just have to say that. I don't blame you as much, Joy and Painted Posse, but Will, to the replay guys at Kyle Field, you couldn't have just let it go, man. Like, is it worth what we have now?
What would they have made cups over? What would they have still be talking about all these years later? It
would have just been a blank cup the next year. We had nothing else to put on it. But props, I get a little mad with officials sometimes. I try not to be that guy because the game is decided on how you play, not on any one call. But for that game, it felt like things actually went our way for once, and not just the officials, the guys actually calling down and seeing that was happening and being like, oh, his knee was down, that needs to be looked at and blah blah blah. That doesn't happen to us. We never get the lucky bounce or anything like that to go our way. So we used up all our goodwill in that game. All of our luck from all over the years was used on that game. So I think it'll be a pretty even split on that front this weekend.
John, if you're watching, are you going to this game? Because if you are, I want to tell Jesus I said hi up there where you'll be. I don't know, Will, you follow John, right? His tweets at Kyle Field, man, they're pretty great. Damn it, man!
Is he real high up?
He's up there a little bit, man, and he trolls himself about it though, which is why I feel comfortable to poke him a little bit. I can't tell you how many times I heard this on Saturday, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I had no idea what the hell was going on. I was like, what are the people yelling about a track for? Is they're random tracks, and I didn't realize it was a Georgia chant. That's on me. With that being said, Joy, please show everybody your hat if you don't mind. And there you go. We deserve that. It's even red and black. It's pretty strong. Yeah. So gotta love college football. All about the trolling. Thank you guys for giving us another chance and rolling back in there. Some pretty good horns. So I will say this: there's such a major difference. Georgia has some work to do with their horns downs, and I'm not gonna do it so that y'all clip me or anything. But you have to be firm. Not that some people just kind of hang it down. There's no heart. There's no exactly.
Like this.
It's locked. Yeah, exactly.
You got to hit that hoe.
Yeah, exactly. You have to hit that thing. And so,
2 hands.
I like that. I mean, I don't like that, but if you're gonna do it right. Okay.
Yeah,
Enjoy. There's a lot
full
of
send.
really soft horns from Athens when they came over there. I'll just say that. But a lot of fun with those guys. SEC crowds are definitely a little bit rowdier, definitely a little bit more rambunctious than the Kansas States, et cetera, of the world. Um, the barking on kickoffs was hysterical. I love that. I mean, like,
Drives me crazy.
oh yeah. Um, there you go, Joy. You didn't know you're supporting the Aggies, but
Right,
they're
Taylor,
gonna
let's make
find a.
something so clear over my dead body.
I think we all are actually. We're all sporting black.
Let it be. Let the record show that this is navy blue. Not black.
Let the record show that I'd be dead before I do anything that the Aggies would do.
Well, I'm only wearing black because it's guaranteed to be one of your funerals on Saturday. I don't know which one of it's going to be, but
Hey, there we go.
Somebody's losing a big game at Kyle Field and not going to feel very good afterwards.
You would know what the funeral looks like, right? Because your team just
yeah
had one.
It was like a 48-hour funeral. It was like a long procession. The hearse was moving real slow there for a while. Next thing, first thing, you're drinking a beer at a tailgate. Next thing you know, you look up, it's 23-0, and you're just like, dang, we have 14 yards. This is tough.
But like honestly, I can't even call it a funeral because like I know you guys are gonna, end up like you're probably gonna beat the crap out of Vanderbilt. You're gonna roll into our game on this big momentum train, and then hopefully.
That's a big take, Will. I mean, Chris Phillips is in this chat right now, and he just said, see you in Nashville. And I don't know what you know about SEC Unfiltered, but he has gone to 4 straight games where the home team was the underdog and won. He's participated in 3 field rushes, and he's going to Vanderbilt, Texas. So Ghost might be in for a world of hurt, let's be honest.
I will say I'm very glad that they're not on our schedule this year.
I'm very glad Chris Phillips and SEC Unfiltered chose to go to Vanderbilt and not College Station.
Fair enough. I like that. Durag, Chris, appreciate y'all being in here. Durag, get you some sleep, man. Thank you for the love. Chris, I look forward to meeting you, brother. It's going to be a really good time. But yeah, man, I wouldn't really – I mean, I knew that you guys had been out there and y'all seen some crazy finishes. Obviously, we talk about it on the show sometimes. When he said that he would be in Nashville, I was like, oh my God, you're going to be there. And his first reaction was to be like, yeah, dude, forgive me. And I was just like excited to see him. So I was like, wait a minute, there's some bad juju going on there. But yeah, man, Chris, I can't wait for that. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll see what happens with the Horns and Commodores. Thank you guys for sticking with us again. Appreciate y'all hanging in there on the audio stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm curious to hear what you guys say a little bit. I don't know if that's just joy, if you're just, poking the bear a little bit because, we kind of deserve it right now. I'm sure you heard a lot of stuff from Texas fans all season. You and I, not really tangled whatsoever. I'm really kind of not the guy that goes out there and stands on too many crazy takes because I hate when my stuff gets bookmarked and brought back at me, So Texas Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt, obviously big time matchup for them to prove again that they belong in this SEC world and that it's a different Vanderbilt. But do you actually think that they can beat Texas? Is it just hanging around? Would that be a win for Vandy?
I think they can beat Texas. I don't think anyone in their right mind thought they could beat Alabama. And I think that Diego Pavia is the real deal. I don't know what else he has to do to prove to anyone that he is a top quarterback in the SEC, but he is. He makes plays when plays need to be made. Now, we have now come to learn that Alabama is not the Alabama that we thought they were. This is not the unbeatable, dominating program that Nick Saban created. However, as much as everyone in Alabama hates to hear this, Nick Saban did leave this team to Kalen DeBoer. This is not a Kalen DeBoer recruited team. This is a team that Nick Saban left. This is still a team that last year struggled with penalties and is still struggling with penalties this year. With that being said, Texas is better than Alabama. I think Vanderbilt's going to be able to hang around. I'm not going to lie to you, Ghost. I hope Vanderbilt pulls this off.
Of course.
For my own school's sake, I hope Vanderbilt pulls this off. Also, they've just had such a great year. Why not just continue the Cinderella run? With that being said, I think Texas defense will ultimately be the end-all be-all in this game. I do think you're able to stop Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. The thing that Texas is going to have to do that Alabama didn't do is really pay attention to the clock. Vanderbilt just ran the clock out. I mean, they literally kept the ball the entire game. So Texas is just going to have to be really mindful of that. At this point in time, I think Steve Sarkisian is a better coach than Kalen DeBoer. I think he'll out-coach Clark Lee. But I think Clark Lee has proven like he knows what he's doing. There's not a game in this league that he cannot handle. The downside for Vanderbilt is that no one now is overlooking them. There used to be a day, and that's exactly what Alabama did, that you overlooked Vanderbilt. You considered them a cupcake on your schedule, and now you no longer have that benefit. So with that being said, I don't think Vanderbilt wins this game. I hope they do with all my heart, but I don't think they're able to pull it off. I do think Texas ultimately ends up winning this game.
Okay, I'll take it. Gentlemen, Texas Vanderbilt thoughts?
Can I add, I agree that I would love to see Vanderbilt win the game. But I don't hope that they continue the run because they hypothetically are on our schedule. So this is like rooting for them for a few weeks, and then
I mean, I felt like
no more
saying, I hope they continue their run until they play us. Like no,
I get what you mean. Yeah, I think they're gonna lose by 2 scores. I think Sark's gonna be mad. And I think Texas is going to have a good game. But you never know.
I expect our offensive line to answer the bell after getting somewhat embarrassed. It is a good group, but at the same time, I'm a realist enough to say, like, you got your butt kicked a little bit. And so I expect the O-line to step up big time. If the O-line plays well, hard for me to think Vanderbilt can win. Mr. Stone, what do you have?
Yeah, so I checked our pick'em standings, and Mr. Ghost, I'm coming for you. I'm right on your heels.
Coming for me?
Yeah.
I didn't I just pass you?
Well, I'm coming back, baby.
I was in 52nd place after week 1 out of 56 people, and we're finally top 5. Feels good. Not gonna lie.
I'm within striking distance of the leader. It's going to take some luck, though. But I say that because I probably will pick Vanderbilt to at least cover this game because I think they will try to do the same recipe that they had against Alabama, hold the ball and control the clock for as long as possible. You know, if they hold it for 40 minutes, things could get really dicey. I don't know if they can replicate that. But Diego Pavia, I mean, like what a story. I mean, he's such a tough kid and really fun player to watch. When he's not playing against your team. So I think Vanderbilt could make some noise, but I think at the end of the day, like you said, coming off of the Georgia game, Texas is probably getting coached pretty hard this week. And I'm assuming they're going to come out and have a pretty good game. But I could see the game being shortened a little bit, not getting a lot of opportunities and plays and things like that. So I like Vandy to cover, but I think they do lose by probably, 10 or 14 points.
I'm opening the door here for anything you want to say. Like, you don't worry about hurting my feelings. I had people do that Saturday night.
We're not concerned about hurting yours nor Texas fans at this point.
I'm
just a fact of who you're playing.
Fair enough. I'm saying for this reason, okay. I'm gonna ask for your thoughts on Quinn. Quinn looked like a much different player last year, even early in this season. He had a very difficult first half there with Georgia. Obviously, was benched for a moment for Arch Manning. What are your thoughts when you look at the Texas quarterback position?
So is he leaving or? I heard rumors. Streets are saying he's sitting out. Really?
I think we can all admit what a crazy moment that was when the official 24/7 account posted that on Instagram yesterday. Because I don't know how you get hacked or anything like that.
Did an intern get fired? I just want to know.
I got 47 text messages in a 7-minute span, and I don't know 47 people. Like, I was like, what the hell is going on right now? Everyone, and I go look, and everything is like, oh my god, kill me, oh my god, kill me, and it was just like, wait, what's going on? Like, I couldn't pick up the kids from school without drama happening for Texas football. So I don't know. Somebody needs to be fired. I'm going to roll with that. Quinn would never quit on these guys. I know that it would be really fun for all of you if he did, as far as the headlines and narratives and all that fun stuff. But yeah, when you look at that position group, I mean, what do you think for Texas?
I think Quinn's a good quarterback. Let me be clear about that. I think Quinn's a good quarterback. I'm just gonna all be devil's advocate here. I don't love the decision to bench him for Arch. I understand your reasoning. I understand that Quinn has been injured, and so Arch has been playing, and Arch has kept you and won you some games. I understand that. I have been an Arch hater since he was in high school. Being from Louisiana, I watched him play at Newman. I was never thoroughly impressed. I really thought his ranking was highly, highly based on his last name and not highly, highly based on his skills. And with that being said, I also am just so curious to know, like, this was not a playoff game. This was not this was not the end all be all for your team. And I do wonder how much putting an Arch affects Quinn as a quarterback and affects Quinn as a starter, affects Quinn's confidence. Like, here's this kid, and he's already been playing for me because I've been hurt, and now I'm benched and we're not winning. And I think the mind game actually does play a factor in this game, as much as people never wanted to do this because he never wanted to go on to your school. But moving on, you can have Arch Hook'em fan all day. I could give a flying crap if Arch. I don't know if you've seen my quarterback. He's pretty damn good. And my quarterback before that won the Heisman. So I'm not tripping about your quarterback. I'm going to keep it. With that being said, I think Quinn's a good quarterback. I think Arch is a good quarterback. I don't think they're like the best quarterbacks that are playing college football right now. I also think that was the biggest and deepest and hardest and most pressured situation Quinn has been in all year. And then you aren't doing well. And so you put in another kid who also hasn't been in a situation like that all year. And neither one of them, I think, were fully prepared. If I'm being really honest, I don't think Steve Sarkisian was fully prepared. I think a lot of people wrote off Georgia way too early in the season because of an Alabama loss that minus a miracle. That's the thing that people forget. Minus a miracle, Georgia wins that football game. Like, minus an insane catch by a 17-year-old, Alabama's not winning that game. Georgia wins
17?
He's 17, just in case no one knew that.
First time I've heard this.
I know. I'm sure you're shocked. But minus that play, Georgia wins that game. And because they lost that game at Bryant-Denny, everyone's like, Georgia's done. I mean, they're just done. They're just washed. And I'm like, are y'all idiots? I picked Georgia to win this game because Kirby Smart is still, as much as everyone wants to hate it, he is at this point in time the standard in college football coaching. I think that was ultimately what this game came down to. We can blame Quinn. We can blame Arch. We can blame the trenches, which that played a major role in this game. Steve Sarkisian got out-coached by Kirby Smart. That's what happened. And so I don't care which quarterback you start, Quinn, Arch, either one. I personally think that I don't know if it would have mattered in this game. I think Georgia was like supposed to win because I think Kirby had the better game plan. Quinn, Arch, both will keep you in games for the rest of your season. I don't know if one will have, I'm sure Quinn will start in A&M, but if he's not doing well, they'll bench him real quick, as we just saw. But I think neither one of them are the reason that you lost that game. And I think it's unequivocally fair. It's not fair to put the blame on either of them.
There is I'm not disagreeing with anything that you said at all. There's just a lot of talk about Quinn and his health, and it's not making excuses. And I'm only playing into your point. I promise. I've had so much time to think about this, obviously. Stayed up losing sleep, worried about this offense. Your head coach is an offensive guy, and most of the time he's one of the more elite minds in college football. And with that being said, he got his butt kicked on Saturday. He got his butt kicked in preparation. He got his butt kicked in scheme on the field. And it's okay. Like, I think that, hey, the Texas offensive line, you just saw what the best type of front sevens that you will see in all of college football, what they look like. And shout out to LSU right now. Your front seven is playing damn good football. But Sark sees the level of preparation and the master that Kirby is when it's time. And, like, they just hadn't played their best football yet. Will, you can back me up on this. I said it all week on the channel so people can hear me. Like, I did predict a Texas win by 4, which, I mean, yeah, I got caught up in it. But I did say that I had it as a coin flip game either way. And Will can back me up. In our pick'em, you're part of that. You can go check my picks. I picked Georgia. And so I really thought it'd be really difficult for Texas to win this game. I know that y'all probably sat here on Twitter and heard Texas fans scream about, and I hated it so much. It seems like everyone in the world, just like Joy said, wrote Georgia off. Incredibly dumb. a lot of people ate a lot of words. A lot of people ate crow, and we were humbled. What about you, Painted Posse? Any comments regarding Quinn, Arch, Texas
I
quarterback
mean,
situation?
I think Quinn shouldn't get benched like that. I think you gotta roll with your guys. Um, but I mean, I get like the fan base was, or a lot of the fan base is really high on Arch. I know he is a great player. But I think you got to roll with your starting guy, and in terms of confidence and keeping a good culture. But he obviously did come back out there. I think the injury thing definitely does throw a wrench in some of that. That if he is at 100%, that it's really hard to handle, and I'm sure there's way more going on for Sark than I could ever know. But it just seems like shouldn't be benching him unless he's seriously out.
Um, the injury thing, that's the thing. It's like it seems like you're making excuses, but for me, the thing is like you watch the game. Texas and Sark used to throw the heck out of the ball deep. Quinn averaged 10 yards per attempt in 2022. He's down to 6 right now. That's a pretty big discrepancy there. And so I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. Anybody, any Texas fans? I don't care if you're not a Texas fan. If you watch college football, if you watch Quinn years in the past and you've seen him this year, do you think Quinn is hurt? Because we don't throw anything downfield, and there's no attempts down the field. Like we don't throw very many deep balls, and if we do have deep attempts, it seems like everything is underthrown right now. And Quinn has one of the biggest arms in college football. I mean, we've seen all the videos, and I don't know. Will, what are your thoughts?
Well, and none of these guys are Xavier Worthy or AD Mitchell, but you guys have plenty of speed to go deep. It's not like you got a bunch of 4.9 40 receivers out there. So I think it is interesting that that there is that kind of drop off. So like obviously like I live in Texas. I follow recruiting very closely. We all knew about Quinn when he was a sophomore, throwing the ball 84 yards in the air at a practice. Um, in my opinion, he's obviously he has 5-star physical tools. I don't think he has the 5-star like pure quarterback ability. Uh, Arm strength and sometimes accuracy is extremely good. Against Bama last year, I mean, are you kidding me with the pass to Worthy and the long one to Mitchell that he hauled in? And part, yeah, you have to have the guys to make those plays, but he went and made the plays. But I think he's in such an easy system for him where he has a great offensive line, great weapons around him, and Sark can be like, okay, especially now with the headset, he's like, okay, Quinn, Bond's going to be open on this play, or Helm's going to be open on this play, or whatever else. And I think that's why you've seen the NFL guys not go all in on him. When you hear the draft guys talk about the upcoming class, they're like, yeah, this is a great quarterback class. We kind of like Shador, we kind of like Carson Beck. We don't know about Quinn. I think there's a lot of stuff there that he hasn't figured out yet. So, but lucky for Texas, they do have Arch if needed, and Quinn's good enough to win you a hell of a lot of games on that team. They have a great defense, but when it comes to Quinn, I think he plays in a great system. He has a great, physical ability. I just don't see the, hey, this guy's an elite quarterback, game in, game out type of guy.
Um, I love Quinn. Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to challenge him or question if he should be out on the field. I want him to be leading the guys, but he's been tested before. I mean, he played at Alabama last year, a Saban defense. Like Michigan's defense, yeah, Michigan stinks. Like they're not good. Most of that is offensively. Michigan's defense in that first quarter, really the first half, before they kind of laid down because of terrible offense. I mean, they gave Texas a lot of looks. Like that wasn't easy work that Quinn and Texas were achieving there. Like he looked good there. So I mean, I get it. I can't fully agree. I think that was the biggest test that he's faced, no doubt. But for me, is like, I mean, I didn't call plays forever in high school, but like you can't just play like in a 20-yard box on the field and all the RPOs and quick stuff that you want to do. Like Quinn's really good at that stuff, but like eventually you're going to have to make defenses respect over the top and down the field. These better SEC defenses, especially, you got to prove to them that you can beat them down the field. I mean, it's just the athletes and the coaching is just they're way too good. And so that is the only time that I would consider if Quinn is genuinely hurt. I mean, and he can't throw the ball downfield. That is the only time I would be comfortable with a switch to Arch Manning. I'm not saying that I agree with everything that happened Saturday. As a fan, I wanted to change right there. I was going through it. I was just like, I just wanted to change with the productivity, not necessarily a quarterback change. But when it happened, I was like, all right, let's rock. Let's go. If this is what happens, like, let's go. And then, of course, my phone is blowing up with like 50 it's happening text messages and gifts, and then he was back off the field coming off or starting the second half. But I just had to ask, had to get on it. I knew that Joy was going to be eager to share some opinions on the whole situation because
your fan base didn't like him, and that's fine. I'm not that.
No.
I've never been the one that backed off just because the fan base didn't like something.
Well, look, I would say 80% would agree with you and 20% would not. That seems to be the I feel like every time that a Quinn or Arch question is asked, I feel like it's about an 80% more in 80% in Quinn's favor. And it's tough for me. I mean, I love Quinn, but I've also watched Sarkisian offenses in the past, and if he just doesn't look healthy to me, I hope that I am wrong, and that if he's not healthy, he gets healthy. It looks weird to me.
Is his injury? Is it upper body?
It's an abdominal strain, I believe, was the official diagnosis, which
gotcha.
can be a varying degree of length as far as recovery time. Most important thing is like throwing without pain and
right. Yeah, that makes
having
sense.
pain just dissipate, stay gone. I don't know. Everybody's different. Obviously, these guys are pretty dang good athletes, and so we will see. But regarding Texas, regarding all the SEC, let's talk overrated, underrated. Give me we'll go 2 to 3. You can do anywhere in that range that you would like. Give me 2 overrated, 2 underrated, or more SEC teams so far. I'm doing multiple because obviously we're all going to have one of the same underrated teams, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if you can call Vanderbilt underrated at 25th in the country, but
okay. I think I'm prepared.
Go for it, Joy.
Okay, overrated. God, this is difficult. I hate this. Okay, Alabama. We can start with Alabama. Overrated. Like, is this all season? This is not just this week. Like,
that's what
Yeah,
I was wondering.
yeah.
I was thinking if it's right now, like,
okay, overrated. Yeah. I would say all season long overrated teams, and I'm going to say this one, and people are going to be like, what the hell is she talking about? But I'm going to go Kentucky because I think people thought, like, Mark Stoops was going to, like, fire up this team after almost taking the A&M job, and they gave him this big extension, and I think everyone thought they might be a little bit better. So I'm going to go Alabama, Kentucky, overrated. This is so hard because now my underrated team is, like, underrated now, but they weren't underrated all season. Damn, this is hard. Okay, underrated LSU. I have to go LSU. I have to go the Tigers. Everyone counted us out week 1, and we're in the hunt for the SEC. So underrated, I'll go LSU and Vanderbilt. You have to throw Vanderbilt in there.
Of course.
But if I'm being really honest with you, and like I'm not just saying this goes because I'm on your podcast, I think Texas was a little bit underrated. I think everyone thought they were going to come into the SEC and like really, really struggle. But I think you could say this for Texas and Oklahoma. I think both of them thought like everyone was like, oh my God, they're going to come to the SEC and it's going to be so hard. And like they're just going to have all of this struggle adjusting. And I think the difference is like Texas was prepared and Oklahoma just wasn't. And so like I know as an SEC fan, all other SEC fan bases that I followed and me including myself were like, oh, that adjustment is going to be more difficult. And for Texas, honestly, like it hasn't been that hard. Now you did just play the most dominant team in our conference and lose. But most SEC schools would also have that same response. So I would say that. LSU lost to USC. Nothing underrated about that. Okay. It's like you want to argue, and I'm just not going to argue with you. Like I literally said after week 1, everyone counted us out. If you don't have ears to hear, then that's on you, and you can go back to school for that. But after week 1 is what I literally said. Everyone counted LSU out, and that's just a fact of the matter. No one thought LSU was going to be decent after that game. So,
my apologies. I counted you guys out. I hated on your defense up until
I counted us out too.
I hated on your defense up until about 2 weeks ago, which is I'm not trying to troll or speak ill of anyone that is injured, but like it's just odd that your defense seems to be better without Harold Perkins. It's really
it's wild.
Kind of
just like a fact, guys. Like when I say people, I don't like if you didn't necessarily think that, like then I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the majority of people. You don't have to get defensive about it.
Joy hates each and every Texas fan on planet
Every
Earth.
single one of them, literally. And
that.
my cousin, my uncle, my cousin is at Texas right now. My uncle graduated from Texas, but hate them all. Every Longhorn that's ever existed.
There you go, guys. Real quick, if you're watching on Twitter, do me a favor, go to my profile, follow the link in the bio. It'll bring you to the Ghost and Fringe YouTube channel. Like this video. These guys are doing great, and they've hung in there through the audio difficulties and got that all resolved. So appreciate all you guys watching on Twitter, and then obviously if you're watching on YouTube, Emily Gage, y'all throw a quick like on this video. What about you, Panda Posse? Overrated, underrated teams in the Southeastern Conference?
I know.
Hold on.
Oh,
I swear to God, after this live stream ends, I'm driving straight to College Station, buddy. He wouldn't come on this. He wouldn't come on this episode because he's terrified of Joy, but he can get in here and talk some trash. I got you, Fatty. As soon as this is over. All right, go ahead, Posse.
I know where he's sitting during the game, so I can help you distribute some justice. And
fair enough.
Overrated. I think Tennessee might be a little overrated. Course of the season, I know it's hard to say overrated because like some people might be more focused on their loss to Arkansas or Nico, kind of seemingly underperforming. But I see them as a top 10 team. I see that they just beat Bama, and that's a big deal for them, and a lot of storylines. But I think overall they would be one of the more overrated teams in the SEC. And then I'll go Missouri. Again, like kind of weird, like what point in time you take it. I think like, you know, preseason, a lot of people expected them to be a playoff team. They definitely don't seem like that anymore. So I just say they're overall overrated. Underrated, definitely got to throw in LSU there. A lot of the things you guys were saying, just have to go with that. I think South Carolina is also an underrated team. I know they've had a tough schedule, and they haven't been the same week to week. But they are, when they're fully healthy, I think they're a really good team. Sellers, he's a freshman, right?
I believe Sellers is a freshman. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have some good years, and they're gonna be a hard team to beat years to come, unless the fan base freaks out on Beamer and they don't get to continue some of these things they're doing. So.
They got a really good defensive line, and obviously they played a pretty dang good game with the Tigers there. I would love for Lenoris to stay healthy in that game and see what he could have done. I'll say that. Their D-line is really dang good. What about you, Will? Overrated, underrated Southeastern Conference teams?
Yeah, so if we had done this a week ago, I would have stood on this table and screamed about how overrated Tennessee was, still being as high as they were in the AP poll after looking completely abysmal on offense, which they still kind of did anyway this weekend, but they were able to beat Alabama, so tough to really label them overrated at this point in time with that big win. But I can't think of a second overrated team, but the one for sure is Alabama. I mean, preseason, like every offseason, I try to sit down and make my own, like if I had to do a top 25, who am I putting in there? And like once the transfer portal kind of, bit Bama a little bit, Caleb Downs left and some other big players, I'm like, okay, maybe they're more of the 10 to 15 range and not the top 5. But like you see, like they were rated high in the preseason. They have the big win against Georgia, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe they are legit. But no, I think it's fool's gold. Like the win against Georgia was. Wouldn't shock me if they lost again. Somewhere down, well, like they play LSU in a couple weeks, so their secondary is not very good at all. So could definitely see LSU winning that one, and maybe another game somewhere else as well. So we'll see if they can handle Missouri this weekend. So underrated, I think this sounds crazy. It might be Florida, and we'll see with DJ Lagway what he can do. I thought Graham Mertz, if he stays healthy, they probably beat Tennessee. I think that was in Knoxville. So. They were about to hit the really, really rough part of their schedule. Four ranked teams: Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss. It wouldn't shock me to see them get a win out of one of those 4. I mean, they may not do more than that, but I'm really just intrigued by them. Like, I thought Billy might be fired by, this point in the season, but he's turned it around a little bit, and he'll get to see what Lagway can do the rest of the season. But so I've kind of got them circled right now. But definitely agree on South Carolina. They have an awesome defensive line. Love Sellers. What a freaking beast of a player he is. Not looking forward to going there at night and playing in Columbia with Sandstorm, blasting it at full volume. So yeah, I think those 2 for sure. And honestly, I know we just played him, and it'll probably sound like homerism, but Michael Van Buren for Mississippi State, I think he's the real deal. He has got a few games under his belt now. He seems to be hitting his stride. I know they're 1-6, whatever they are. It looks bad right now, but it wouldn't shock me to see them beat Arkansas this weekend and maybe pick up a couple other wins here down the stretch.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. Mississippi State, like, did they clip off somebody? You cover 3 straight weeks with Georgia, Mississippi State, and Georgia, Texas A&M, and Texas. A little bit of beef on I did the gambling segment on Wednesdays, and I gave out A&M as one of my 5 plays. I thought you guys would hammer them. I really did. Before I get to my overrated, underrated teams, Miss Joy, do you want to answer this? I can't believe there's confusion on this. Come on, Ingrid.
I'm actually insulted. I think I might have to go throw up. I'm a Tiger through and through, like till the day that I die. Ironically, what a lot of people don't know, because I have such a deep hatred for the Aggies, is that my grandfather is an Aggie, my uncle is a Longhorn, my cousin is a Longhorn, my other cousin is a Tiger, and I'm a Tiger. So we're a very mixed family. But if there's one school that has just, if I'm being really honest with you, I really just started out having a problem with Jimbo. I just hated Jimbo. And I made that.
That's fair.
I made that, if I'm being really honest with you, my entire personality. When Jimbo got fired, I was like, who the hell am I going to be now? But over the last couple of years, because I've hated Jimbo, the amount of A&M fans that have come into my mentioned and called me like the most heinous, disgusting things that I've ever been called in my life, that has made me now just hate A&M as a whole. So what started out as a Jimbo issue just became a school issue. So well, that's how that inspired.
You and every other Aggie on the planet, probably feel that way about Jimbo Fisher now.
Yeah, it's funny. I was on a different podcast last night, and there's a girl from Alabama on there, and she's like, honestly, I'm nothing against A&M. I just hated Jimbo, so now I'm totally cool with you guys. So I think you might be onto something there, Joy.
Yeah, I mean, it was really honestly fine, but if I like said something about Jimbo, then I had like 8 grown men with like children telling me like how sorry of a human being I was and how I needed to like go to the gym and stop being on Twitter. And I just like eventually I was just like, okay, I just hate all of you. Like you just all suck. Will, you've been great. I'll give you that. But yeah, no, it was not fun. Ingrid, to answer about the hat, I got this hat last year when I knew Texas was joining the SEC, just like for future games and things of that nature. And then after Georgia beat them, I'm on a college football podcast with 2 Georgia fans. So I wore the hat like for camaraderie reasons. And then Ghost was like, you need to wear that when we record on Tuesday. I deserve it. And so that is why I'm wearing it tonight. I don't hate Texas.
I really did. I really didn't think you were going to do it for a while. And yeah, so I love that you did. Joy's a great sport. And obviously, the Georgia podcast, I listened to it a little bit last night. And John's awesome. You guys do a great job with that.
Thank you.
How often are y'all filming or recording?
We will release an episode Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and Thursday nights.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah, for anybody that had to listen, anyone that had to listen to that last night, I'm really sorry. I have never really barked in my life, and I had like a 2-hour little practice session. I went through a lot of emotions getting ready for that whole thing. There was like a 10% of me that was just like, don't answer John's text. Don't send him a link for the show. I will never bark again. I will never make that deal again with a Georgia fan. That backfired more so than I thought. Overrated, underrated SEC teams. I have Texas A&M in there. I hate to say it, but I was higher than
It's
Texas
underrated,
A&M
right?
on most. As underrated, yes. Coming into the season, I had you guys at 9-3. I think obviously y'all are well on track to. You should get to 9-3. It would be just a sad shame with the way it shaped up if y'all didn't, right? Will just be so terrible if y'all found a way to get to that dreaded 8-4 mark that all you Aggies know and love so much.
It's like I can't even imagine how that would happen at this point.
Interesting. There's always an avenue, my friend. So be careful out there.
Oh yeah.
But definitely, I liked Mike Elko while he was the defensive coordinator. Obviously, when the whole Mike Stoops thing was going down, and hey, Payne and Posse, I'm gonna tell you some little inside information on our boy Fatty report. We're at the golf course, literally the day before Jimbo was fired, but everybody knew that he would be fired, of course. And I am telling him, I'm like, just hire Mike Elko. Literally, just hire Mike Elko. No, man, it's not big enough, not splashy enough. We gotta have more. We gotta have more. And so. And if he wants to battle back on that, then I'll pull out Tex. I don't care. I'm in a fighting mood right now. But no, he so many Aggies were just like, we needed something bigger. We needed a splash. And I was just like, you guys played elite defense with Mike Elko. Recruits came, even though he's not known for being a big time recruiter, y'all were killing it. Defensive recruiting, the 2022 class, obviously headlined by numerous 5-star defenders, especially on the defensive line. And so it was like, it just seemed maybe too easy for some Aggies, but I will say this. I was high on you guys coming in. So underrated, I'd say obviously Vanderbilt. You have to say Vanderbilt, who they've already eclipsed their Vegas season, the over for their season win total. And we're only going to week 9. And then I liked A&M coming in. Overrated. And I'll give LSU a little shout out there too. I definitely had y'all more along the lines of 8-4, which I guess could still happen. But probably not. So, and then overrated, I'll go Missouri quite clearly. I thought with that offense, they'd light it up, score a lot of points. It would be the schedule was very, very favorable. I had them winning at Kyle Field, getting, close to 10 wins again, but they've been a pretty big disappointment. Which the crazy thing is like they've only lost one game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like their losses will come here towards the end of the year. They got away with the Auburn game, got away with the Vanderbilt game. I'm mostly just disappointed with the offense. That offense has been hard to watch. I don't know what the deal is with Brady Cook, and obviously we're having the same issues with Quinn. Another overrated team, Alabama, which obviously that's an easy answer. I had them winning the SEC. I had them beating Texas in the SEC title game. I did have, I had them beating Georgia. So after they did that, I was like, oh yeah, I know ball. Here come the Tide. And next week they lose to Vanderbilt. So here, yeah, fun game, fun conference. The transfer portal brings a lot of parity to this league. Obviously NIL, it plays into it. Without those two things, I don't think you ever see a Vanderbilt beat an Alabama or a Kentucky play, as well as they did against Georgia. Weird team though, Kentucky. I mean, everybody thought that Kentucky would be really, really a tough out after the Georgia game. They get smoked by South Carolina at home, lose as a double-digit favorite to Vanderbilt. And I don't know what happened last week. I didn't watch any highlights, haven't seen anything, but I just know that Florida scored 40-plus on a Mark Stoops defense, and that was surprising. But Florida, I mean,
how did Ole Miss lose to them?
I don't know, man.
Jackson
on the road.
It's Lane Kiffin.
Like I likely.
He's always going to lose a game he shouldn't lose and win a game he shouldn't win. It's just the way he operates.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and I don't want to get trolled right now when I say this, especially since there's some multiple SEC fan bases represented here in the comments. But Kiffin kind of has a gimmicky offense, it seems, And if you figure the gimmicks out, if you've seen it often enough, but obviously Mark Stoops always gives that team struggles. The point total for Ole Miss not very impressive against the Wildcats over the last few years. And again, I went 4-1 that week on the channel, Will, the gambling segment. The only play I lost was Ole Miss -17, and they got beat outright. That was
I picked them
rough.
too. Yeah,
that was rough. But yeah, I mean, Florida is Florida fighting something? You think Billy Napier survives 3-1 in their last 4? The only loss was a road game, like you mentioned earlier, Will, at Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, which that loss looks even more impressive this week after they just took down Alabama.
So they're 4-3 right now, right?
I believe so. Yeah, they've won 3 of 4, and they lost it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, to save his job, I think they beat Florida State. Florida State absolutely sucks. So that's one right there. But aside from that, like, can they clip Ole Miss? They play that at home. They play LSU at home. With the way LSU's playing, I definitely wouldn't favor Florida there. But I'll tell you right now, DJ Lagway is a very, very talented quarterback coming out of Willis, Texas. Every A&M fan on the planet was dying to get him when we signed Colin Klein. Or we got Colin Klein as our OC. We're like, man, this guy's tailor-made for this offense. And now he's gonna get a chance to start the rest of the year with Mertz out for the season. So they're figuring some things out definitely on offense with the way they lit up Kentucky. So it's interesting to watch. But if they go 5-7, I think he's out of there. But if they clip one of these 4 ranked teams, you might see him hang on to him. I mean, it's really tough to say.
I said before the season, if they go 6-6, that they played some pretty dang good football. I would keep him with 6-6 against that schedule. You still have at Georgia, at Texas, back-to-back weeks. That's pretty dang tough. What do you think, Joy?
I think he's gone. That's my own personal. I don't. You shouldn't need DJ Lagway to save your job. And also, like, if Graham Mertz doesn't get hurt, you don't start Graham Mertz. Like, you're still making horrible decisions and starting Graham Mertz over DJ Lagway. Like, it just doesn't make any logical sense to me for Florida to keep him. They have national championship caliber expectations. This is not a Kentucky that we're talking about. This is not a Mississippi State that we're talking about. This is a school that plans every single year on competing for a national championship. And I think Billy Napier's made it very clear that he's not the guy to give you that. I was never big on Billy Napier. I remember that Florida was hiring the same time that LSU was, and a lot of Louisiana people were big on Napier. Oh, he's down the road and he's winning. Winning in the Sun Belt and winning in the SEC are not even close to comparable and not even close to the same thing. And so I'm glad that Florida took the bait and Scott Woodward and LSU didn't. I don't see them keeping him with the level of expectations that they have. Especially when I think there's some other coaches that could potentially give you what you want, that I think will be available to Florida. I just think that they aren't going to be willing to waste another year.
More than fair. Personally, I would move on. I would. I'm not saying I would have done it earlier. I like keeping everybody together, trying to keep the recruiting class together. But I would have assumed for the last couple of months they've been back channeling, figuring out who that next guy is going to be. Would kind of be surprised if they didn't already have it pretty much pinned down. What about you, Posse? You take a chance to throw some shade at the Gators?
Oh, always. Sucks to be a Florida Gator, every time somebody's coming with a discussion, whether it's LSU and Brian Kelly, unfortunately, those conversations are unfortunate. Or if it's other teams, I always question, like, who's the replacement? And I know there are guys out there who would be an improvement, but, like, sometimes it's a question of will they leave? I think that Florida would be a lateral move for Lane Kiffin, but I know he's, like, built something at Ole Miss that no coach has really been able to do at Ole Miss. I mean, they've had some of these last 2 teams have been some of their best teams ever. But that being said, they're still losing. I mean, they have 2 losses halfway through the season, so just throwing shade on Ole Miss. And I think that's why that would be a lateral move. I mean, Florida has, it wasn't that too long ago. Florida was winning back-to-back championships under Urban Meyer, that they were in the playoff hunt in 2020, and that. So, anyways, I think Kiffin could or could not leave. I think if it wasn't for him, I think it's kind of a weird situation. They got into this Billy Napier situation by probably firing a guy they shouldn't have, in Dan Mullen. So I think like they wouldn't want to do something similar and pay Billy's buyout just to get another guy who's gonna be 6-6. But if they do, I'm here for it. I can't wait for another 6-6 Florida Gators team. But yeah, that's kind of my stance.
No, that's great, man. I just saw with that schedule coming in, you're cooked before you got started. There's just too many tough opponents on there. But yeah, Florida should probably go ahead and make that move. I have one more question for you guys before we get out of here. Will, we're going to let our LSU guest go first. Is this game a rivalry, Texas A&M, LSU? And if so, where does it fall on your rivalry, rankings? Obviously, LSU has a couple of rivals. A&M, I don't know if y'all have any rivals, but so where does it fall for you guys?
I think it's 100% a rivalry. LSU has the weirdest rivalry situation because almost everyone else in the SEC has an in-state rival. Some of those are in the conference, some of them aren't. Florida and Florida State aren't, but Alabama and Auburn. I mean, it's you know how that goes. We had Tulane in the '60s, and their program didn't elevate, and they had to leave the SEC. So we ended up, not in that situation. But LSU has been such a strong contender the last 25 years that they've made rivalries just out of being a strong matchup, especially with Alabama. Of course, that's also very greatly fueled by Nick Saban's, switching teams. Switching teams. I've said that before. You guys know what happened, but So I would say Alabama still, for now, is still the number one rival. It depends on the age of a person, you might ask. Somebody who's well up in the years might be more focused on some of the Ole Miss games that they grew up hearing about, and that where it's always been big, but used to be like the premier matchup. Fans who had their most memorable, or who really enjoyed watching in the 80s or 90s, really remember those years, would maybe say Florida, especially that game in the late 90s when LSU beat Florida at home. But I think the younger generation, myself included, would be pretty focused on these big Alabama games of recent years past. And so that's why I'd say Alabama's one, but I'd say A&M's not far, maybe not far behind, but A&M's definitely up there. I mean, they've upset us twice now at Kyle Field. This is definitely a growing rivalry. It's something that has a lot more history than people realize. So we've been playing them since 1897 was the first game. I know people say it's a forced SEC rivalry, but that used to be a big thing. Took some years off from the 90s to 2010s. And I think if it wasn't for that, people would really not say that it's a fake SEC rivalry. But I do see, A&M started out not being able to beat us. I mean, they're 9-3 against LSU since they've joined the SEC.
They're 3-9.
Oh yeah. Sorry, we're 9-3. Yeah. So I think I do think it's a rivalry, and I think it's big and up there. The way LSU rivalries shift, a lot of things are big and up there. We still really hate Ole Miss, and we still really hate Arkansas. Florida, probably bigger than those two. A&M's just got to be up there in the mix.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's tough to say. Joy, I feel like you're gonna have a strong opinion on this. Let's hear it.
I don't even know that I necessarily have a strong opinion. I'm on the cusp. When I was a senior in high school, A&M wasn't in the SEC yet. So my freshman year of college was the first year that A&M was in the SEC, and I could tell you that I was not like thinking about A&M. So when he says like the age group matters, I think that's like drastically true. So, and if that's the case, then I would say majority of LSU fans would not consider this a rivalry. I can think of many schools that I hate more. I would always want to kill Arkansas. I always want to kill Florida. I always want to kill Ole Miss, and I always want to kill Alabama. And A&M's about 5th on the list in terms of teams I really enjoy beating. Now, let's not get that mistaken. I enjoy beating everyone, but in terms of schools that I would not want to lose to, A&M is probably about 5th on the list because of this so-called like rivalry. The only school in the SEC Johnny football couldn't beat. I mean, there's so many like stats and things that we can go through about this game. Ultimately, it's kind of one-sided. A&M fans do like to say like, well, you're 0-3 at Kyle Field. Okay, that's the only stat you got that works in your favor, if I'm being really honest with you. Yes, Ingrid, we missed Joe Burrow. Anyone in their right mind would miss Joe Burrow. Daniels wasn't a bad second, though. With that being said, I mean, I think the game matters. I think just where it's always fallen on the slate of our schedule, it has had some major implications. So you could look at it and go like, wow, they've really jacked us up. Is this a rivalry? I think that's kind of just been how the schedule falls. I think if you were to poll like majority of fans that have been fans for longer than I would say 15 years, none of them are going to say that A&M is a rivalry. There's so many other schools you can say that about. With that being said, I think we need to understand that like just because it's not a rivalry doesn't mean the game doesn't matter. Like this is at this point in time, like going into this weekend, this game matters more than any other game that's on our schedule at the moment. Like you got to go 1-0 this weekend, and that's what matters. And the game does have, it feels like a rivalry vibe in terms of like the actual question of like, is this a rivalry? If you were to poll most fans that have been fans for longer than 15 years, they're not going to say that this is like the most important rivalry that's ever existed. But I understand the question, and I understand why people are like, oh, they hate each other. Yeah, it's not fun to have this one freaking school that blows up your schedule every year towards the end of the year when you have like things to play for. But there's the Nick Saban thing. There's, we've been playing Ole Miss for forever. I would even say like the LSU Auburn game before the whole SEC divisions changed. Like that was always a big, massive game for LSU. So I think it's really imperative to like think about the timing of these things and to remember that, the SEC hasn't been in, or A&M hasn't been around long enough in the SEC and long enough on our schedule to deem it as important as a rivalry. And it doesn't have the in-state conflict that say Texas and A&M have in order to like make them hate each other, even when they haven't played each other in years. So that's my take on it. Probably not as strong as you thought it would be, but
I know I like it. I just, I'm with you though. To me, it's not that big of a rivalry. Ingrid, I miss watching Joe Burrow at LSU. That was one of the more fun performances as far as full seasons go that I can never remember. I will say this to both of you LSU folks in here. I've never had more fun in a losing effort at DKR than I did when Joe Burrow and obviously a very impressive slew of wide receivers came over there and torched us for 4 hours.
That
still a good game.
Lives in my mind. I watch that play once a week, probably on 3rd and 17. It was just.
I wish I could like delete that from your life somehow, Joy. I'm so.
At what point, Ghost, are y'all gonna stop shooting cannons through quarterback jerseys because you're now 0-2 and you've got like maybe just don't do it on game day. Just throw it out there.
We always do it with an Oklahoma jersey when we play them. So we did just get a win doing it, but we did it to Joe Burrow on game day and got torched like no other. And it's not that Carson Beck balled out. Georgia's offense wasn't the reason they won that game. Best offense we've seen, but they got set up for some pretty easy points. So it's like, is there really a curse? I don't know. I would rather just like not do it and not risk, there being a curse, but time will tell on it. But once again, LSU 2019, as impressive as a college team as we've seen in a very, very long time. All right, Will, LSU A&M, where does it fall in your rivalry rankings for the Aggies, if it is even a rivalry in your mind?
Yeah, and I think there's something to that, like what Joey was saying. Yeah, when we first joined the league, that's the one team we couldn't beat. I mean, we even beat Alabama, as good as they were in our first season, and just could not get it done against LSU for the first however, like 6-7 years. So it couldn't be a rivalry until we started winning some of those games. Because if it's completely one sided, LSU fans are never going to care or get up for that game in that kind of way. So I think it's trending that direction, and I would expect when they go to a 9-game conference schedule, I would expect A&M and LSU to be paired up for the one of A&M's 3 guaranteed games every year will probably be LSU. I think LSU and then Texas, and then I've seen Mississippi State just to kind of make the math work for everyone else. So like I definitely have more hate for LSU than I do Arkansas. Talk about one-sided in that one for us and them. And I really don't even have it out for Oklahoma anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like them. I can't wait to beat the crap out of them with the way they're looking right now. So, but in terms of rivalry, it's like Texas is always number one for me, and then LSU's right there behind it. And I think it's the football aspect because we needed something when we joined, and like there was at least some history there. There was some with Arkansas, but like we wanted to get to where LSU was and is, and we're getting to that point. We're getting closer to being that kind of program. Hopefully, things are looking good right now. We'll see about this weekend, but I think it's also the regional aspect and recruiting. Although there's not a ton of battles that, like when we first joined, LSU would get all the DBs we wanted and all the North Shore kids that we wanted, and now we still don't get North Shore kids, but we still get a lot of the in-state guys that we want, especially in the city of Houston. So we're always going to go after the same players, and it's tough to get guys out of Louisiana, of course. We're doing good at hanging on to our Houston guys, but I think like even in baseball, like I always circle when LSU's on the schedule because I know they're going to be good, and that's a team that even our baseball team struggled with, joining the conference, and obviously they're an elite baseball program. So whether it's baseball, softball, football, even basketball, some years it's something I circle, and I'm like, hey, that's going to be a big one. That's like seeing maroon against purple and gold. It's not what you would think. It's like a traditional like color matchup, but there's something to it, I think. But yeah, Texas is always number one. Obviously, looking forward to that one. But for me personally, I think LSU is right behind them.
No, that's more than fair. I'm really disappointed that South Carolina got no love right there.
No, how could I forget? They're number one.
You had all that opportunity to just rile up those bastards from South Carolina, man. It was all right there for you. Yeah, man.
I think can I just push the Go For agenda? I think it's a fabulous name. I don't know why I said fabulous. That was a terrible adjective. I think it's an awesome name.
This is a cool name.
I think it'd be cool if it could be recognized. Although I've been told that with the military tradition at both schools that they might stray from the word war, but it's a sick name. It's fun to use, but yeah.
I don't want to offend you when I say this, Will, but we're coming for your rivalry. We're coming to take these guys. All right, they're a good time. Texas and LSU baseball. Every time we meet up,
take us from them, please.
They're coming.
I don't know.
I'm telling you,
Ghost, you're cool, but I think I'd rather A&M.
Yeah, I'm sure, because you're not going to get cooked by sidelines and Aggie report. I'll cook you right here, Posse. We can do this all day. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna be honest. LSU has always been my favorite school in the SEC before Texas joined. Periodically, depending on who was coaching where, I would root for a couple of other schools. But the purple and gold, it was just like it's undefeated. It's really sick. Was a big Honey Badger guy. I loved the 2000, 2011, 2012. Those LSU teams were a lot of fun to watch. But We're coming for it, Will. I'm telling you, you better hold on to it. Whatever you want to name it, you better start copyright. I'll take the name too. We're coming for the rivalry.
Go
like
for it.
Schloss.
I like it.
What's up?
Just like you took Schloss.
I didn't bring that up. I didn't say. I will say this. Shout out to Billy Lucci for getting on this channel and actually talking about that, because I can only imagine, like I don't know if he ever envisioned talking about that like live, while that's all happening. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't as mad. If that happened to me, there would have been issues. I would have had to deactivate the account for 6 weeks or so. We would have had to go some therapy sessions. We'd work some things out. What about you, Will?
It was a wild it was a wild like week, like 72 hours, like from the pain of losing the championship when it was like we even came back at the end and kind of made a game of it, but I followed that team all year and they were so fun to watch and such a great team to follow. So losing hurt more than losing the coach. I think when some other things kind of came out, and we don't have to hash all that out on this episode, but I think things worked out for the best for both teams. Schloss is a very good coach. He's going to recruit well there and get honestly. I'll shit on Texas football all day. Texas baseball has an elite history, throughout the entirety of it. So
we know, they've told us.
So I'm still mad about the 2009 College World Series losing LSU in 3 games. So this is kind of that's not funny, but I was not able to watch the start of the game, Game 3, Texas LSU 2009. Wasn't able to watch the start of the game, so I had to record it on cassette. And I get home and I'm like, oh, this game is probably really, really close to being over. And so I was like, I'm just going to literally sit here without the TV on for 30 minutes, pop in the cassettes. I didn't even want to risk turning the TV on and it being on ESPN or something and the game being in the 9th inning. So I wait just sitting there. Don't look at my phone, do nothing. Pop the cassette in. Don't rewind it. I hit play, and it's the bottom of the 9th, and y'all are kicking our ass and basically celebrating the title already. And I was like, well, at least I didn't have to watch this and kind of get my hopes up at random periods of the game. But yeah, that whole series is part of why I don't know, burnt orange and purple and gold. It looks better than maroon and purple and gold.
Oh, here we go.
You know me, man. I haven't came in there making any bold claims about the SEC or what we're going to do in the SEC, except for we're coming for your rivalry. We do have the Arkansas win. That is coming back. That is going to be so much more heated than I think a lot of people realize. Sure. They hate us a good amount. But guys, I'm going to let y'all get out of here. I appreciate all the patience you had dealing with the audio, starting a new stream. For anybody that's still out there listening, thank y'all for being here. Please throw these guys a like. They more than deserve it. Any parting words before we get you out of here, guys?
Horns down.
Beat the Aggies.
And thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I think A&M wins a close one this weekend. 31, 27.
Okay.
I don't want to get
score on average 18 points a game when you're playing. Just keep that in mind.
I don't want to get too well. I will get too specific. I know it sounds dumb, but I'm just gonna say, I think 33-30. LSU wins in 2 overtimes.
Oh my God, I can tell. No, it's not gonna be that. It's not gonna be.
Joy,
it's gonna go 7 overtimes again, but just in the new overtime.
It's gonna be
we're gonna have 7.
24.
Something stupid is gonna happen, but you can never know what. Just want to find out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll all be watching, just hoping nothing terrible happens for either one of your teams. We need A&M to win, but I want LSU to win. Weird spot. Guess it's a win-win almost to a certain extent there, but guys, really means a lot that y'all would come on.
I don't know who Ingrid is, but I like her. Good job, Ingrid.
Hey, and she's saying that as she's, it's hard for her to say that. Like me, she is, her significant other is an Aggie, and so, sometimes you got to be careful. Good night, Reagan. Thanks for being here, my man. I will text you back in a moment. It's been too long. But yeah, guys, I really do appreciate it. Thank you for taking time to do this. Throw them a like. If you're still listening, throw these guys a like on the YouTube channel. They deserve that. They were awesome. We'll see y'all soon, though, and everybody enjoy your weekend of college football. And feel free to follow all these guys on Twitter. They're all great. I think it's at Willstone CFB, right? Will?
That's right.
Daily Joy. You're just Daily Joy.
Mhm.
I don't even know what this guy is. Something about
At
Goobs
Paint
or
Up LSU.
Paint Up LSU. Well, there you go. All right, guys.